Hello again, welcome to the second tutorial. So what we're going to do now then is we're going to start with a new composition again. We're going to go to our main shot patch stage 1 that we've just exported. We're going to bring that into our project like so and drag it down onto our new composition symbol like that. Okay, so here's our clip now. And of course the nice thing about rendering it out just that workspace is now we don't have to worry about our workspace any longer, because this is now just the whole clip that we're working with. We haven't got any kind of unnecessary end bits. Okay, and of course we've patched out our director, the guy pulling the track, and also the kit. So now we've just got to turn our attention to this track. So basically going to do the same thing as we did in the tutorials last time, when we're patching out the tripod and the shadow and everything. Basically we're going to come to our clip and we're going to add a 2D edit. The only difference this time is we're going to come to here 1920 and we're going to go 2000. Now if you remember what this is doing is it's saying, right, within this clip here I want to create a 2000 or a 2K window within it, okay, so that I can see it in 360 degrees with a 2K resolution window. Okay, so I'm going to click add 2D edit, and so this is our 2K window now. If we want to see the whole thing, I can go to output render, okay, or we can go to edit one. This is our 2K window. We zoom in, if we hold down C we can orbit around inside our 360 image like so. It's slightly distorted of course because it's meant to be oriented for a 1080 image, but anyway, there we are. Right, and so here's our track, and just like before what we're going to do is patch this out using the clone stamp tool. Now I have done this so many times to try and work out a workflow for this without having to use expensive plugins and stuff, just purely using the things that are inside After Effects already. And I have tried using the content aware fill a bunch of times, and it might just be because of this carpet and it's just a bit too complicated for it, I don't know, but I've never yet been able to make the content aware fill work to patch out this track on this carpet. If you're on grass or dirt or some other basic kind of floor type, even just a plain carpet, it may very well work. You know, it's just that because there's too many bits going on, too many shadows, too many lines, too many dots and what have you, it just gets very confused. So what I'm going to do instead is a slightly more long-winded process, but a more effective technique, I think, and actually it takes less time because the content aware fill, as we know, takes a long time. So this actually is probably quicker as well. I'm going to use the clone stamp tool, and what I'm going to do is wind it on so you can see what I'm doing, but I'm obviously going to do it at speed in the final edit. Okay. Just as a reminder though, what we do is we click on the clone stamp tool and then we double click on our layer, on our footage, so to get into the layers panel, and that's what we use to create our clone stamp. So we come down to the paint tab, we can click on the 60 on this button here to create a different brush size. So I've gone for 69 with a nice feathered edge. Okay, and what you do is holding down space, you move around inside your clip, and then you are going to hold down the option key and you're going to click on a part of the image, and then you're going to erase your track. However, before you begin, can I just make one important point? If you start at the beginning of the clip, then what will happen in this particular clip is all of the bits that you rub out will end up overlapping with this sofa, and it will create sort of unwanted artifacting on the sofa. So what we're going to do is bring our playhead through to the end, make our changes to the clip at this end, and then we'll proceed. Okay, so make sure you don't do it at the beginning on this particular clip, because you'll see in a minute the effect would end up overlapping with this sofa and creating artifacting that we don't want. So I'm going to start off by, can you see this line in the carpet here where the carpet is a slightly different color? So I'm going to use that to start with. I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to use this line and I'm going to go from there, and you can watch along, but I'm going to wind this on from this point on. So remember, option key on your keyboard, click to find the point you want to copy, go onto there and then start painting. Okie dokie, I think that's not looking too bad. I mean, there's a little bit of kind of obvious colour discoloration a bit there, which I could play around with if I wanted to sort of really fettle it down a bit more, but I think it's coming together okay. So I'm going to leave it like that for now. Whoops, too far. I'm going to leave it like that for now. So what we're going to do now then is, hopefully you can see what's happened here, is on my timeline all of my paint effects have gone that way, and so now for the rest of the clip there's nothing there. But if I was to copy all these paint effects like so, each one of these is a brush click, and drag them this way or whatever, what would happen is that little bit of blur is actually only going to occur like in the clip, that in the frame that I've copied, and would actually just change. It would stay where it is effectively, and so consequently it would only look right in the one frame. Other than that, it would always look wrong. Okay, I can't quite demonstrate it to you, but you just have to take my word on it that obviously it would only work for that one frame. So what we're going to do now is something that you might find a little bit surprising. We're going to do a slightly Heath Robinson type fix on this footage, okay? Because what we're going to do is we're going to zoom in on it, like so, and I'm going to, first of all, before we do that, I'm just going to click away from any clip to get rid of that target in the middle of the clip. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to there, and I'm going to go to fit. Okay, so that clip now fits into my frame as best I can, right? And now what I'm going to do is, as I say, you might find this slightly surprising. I'm actually going to take a screen grab of this, and it doesn't really, I mean, that might seem a bit odd, but as I say, what I'm trying to do is do this without expensive plugins and what have you. So I'm going to go to Shift, Command, and 4 on my keyboard to get this target, and I'm going to grab this image like so, and I'm going to click like that, and there's my screen grab, and I can pick that up and drag it into my bin. Okay, so without moving my playhead now, what I can do is take this screen grab and I can drag it down over the top like so. So you can't see the edges of that at the moment because I've turned them off. So if you go, I'm just going to go Shift, Command, and H to bring those back in. You might still be able to see yours, of course. Bring that back up, open up the properties for that, and I'm going to scale that down. Okay, now what I'm trying to try and do is scale it down so that it matches. There we go, so that might be 58% or whatever. Not quite aligning. I'm going to just change the opacity just so I can kind of see what's going on. So as I scale it up and down, it's kind of just about there. Yeah, that'll do. Okay. So if I pick that up and move it around, you can hopefully see what's going on. Is I've got my screen grab over the top, like so. I think that's just about. It's not quite sharp, is it? Say 57, let's see what that looks like. Is that about right? Not quite. No, so 57.5, let's try that. That's looking about right. So I'm just going to keep fettling this until I get something that I'm happy with. Okay. That looks all right. Okay, so that'll do. Okay, so what we've got now then is I've got my footage with my screen grab that I've just taken over the top. And if I go to output render, you can see what the end result looks like. But of course, as we play it through, that screen grab is just going to move, isn't it? It's not actually going to do anything. Okay, even if we go on to edit 1 and up the opacity so you can actually see what's going on. Go back to output render, so it looks fine, but of course at the beginning of the clip it's not right because that's still floating in midair. So what we're going to do now is come back to our edit 1. I'm going to adjust the opacity again so I can see what's happening. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is turn on position and rotation, because it may very well be that I've just got to rotate the image as well ever so slightly so that it aligns. And what I'm going to try and do is keep my screen grab image aligned with this line on the carpet, because I think that, for my money, that's probably the most important one. Okay, so as I move this now to the end, what I'm going to do is come to my position and drag that back so that the carpet aligns, and I would say it probably needs to rotate back by like 1. What do you think? Probably about 1, yeah. That'll do. Okay, and then I can just move my position like so, maybe 2. Maybe 2. There we go. All right. And does my position align? Yes, it does. Spot on. Okay, I'm not too worried about this bit because I'm going to cut all this off in a minute anyway. Okay, it's this bit that I want, because that's the bit that's covering the track. Okay, so now obviously this isn't a consistent movement. If it was a motorized track, it probably would be all right. But because I've moved it at inconsistent speeds, I now have to move my patch to match up with the movement of the track. So now I'm going to move my position again to align that with the carpet. That's looking okay. That'll do. Okay, and move it back to partway between those two again. Just line that up. I'll do. And move it over there. Is that aligned? It's looking not too bad actually. Did it go out of alignment? No, that's looking pretty good. Pretty good. Okay, there we go. That's it. And there, and then just check here. I think that's all fine actually. Nice. Okay, so what we're looking for now then is, if I bring the opacity back up, we're looking for that to seemingly move at roughly the same speed as the track, and it's kind of doing so, isn't it? It's kind of doing so. It doesn't matter that obviously the sofas are moving at a different speed, because we're going to cut that out in a minute. Okay, it's the carpet that we're interested in. I think so. Okay, so what we're now going to do is come to the end, and I'm going to get my pen tool, make sure I'm highlighted my screen grab, and now what I'm going to do, if I take the opacity back down, in fact actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it in the middle of the clip so I can really see the edge, because you can see the edge of my thing here. I'm just going to mask around like so. Okay, and I'm going to stop before I get to the shadow, because obviously that's inconsistent, and I'm going to just like that. Okay, so that line on the carpet is consistent, and if I now play it through, you should hopefully see the sharp edge of my mask like that, but you can see it moving consistently with the carpet. Okay, what all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go into my mask that I've created and in my screen grab, and I'm going to feather the edges out to maybe, I don't know, quite a bit. If I bring the opacity back up, we can make sure that's not meaning that it's interfering with the track, which it isn't, it doesn't look like. So if I move that through, yeah, still nothing's coming out from underneath. Just so that you're very clear about what's going on here, if I turn off these two, that's the patch that I've created now from my screen grab, and that's now moving to cover the track. Okay, I couldn't have just left it as being the clone stamp tool that we did earlier, because that won't work. It'll only work for the one frame, it won't animate. So what we've done now is taken a static, almost like a freeze frame. I could have taken a freeze frame rather than a screen grab, in fairness, you know, and done it that way, but I've just taken a screen grab to overlay it. Okay, so there now, if we play that through and feather the edges, you can just about see the edge of my mask, so I might feather the edge out a bit more. If I go Shift Command and H to turn that off, and feather the edge out a bit more. Yeah, that's nice and soft now, isn't it? That's looking good. So yeah, just make sure that's still not, there's a little bit of track coming in there. So if I go Shift Command and H and I just move that, that should kind of do that, I think. Yeah, I might. I can still see that little bit of track, so I might just take the feathering back down again. There we go. That'll do. Cool. Okay. So now what we've got is we've got our screen grab moving across the top, which is our static image, which is now masking out our track. And if we finally go to our output render, we can now play our output render through, and lo and behold, there's our clip. With our track masked out, and also our director and our lackey pulling the not our lackey, obviously our rigger pulling the camera on our track, okay, and all the kit and everything else, and we've just got our nice final shot. Okay, so that is our completed image or a completed footage. What we can do now is we can go and render that out, and now we can put that into Premiere and we can edit it. Okay, so as I say, it might seem a little bit strange doing a screen grab and then adding that back in, but I think, as I say, it's one of those things where I've tried numerous different workflows for this now, and I just find that it's a nice quick way of doing it. I'd have tried doing freeze frames in the past rather than screen grabs, and it always seems to kind of produce a less effective result, or it takes you longer to get it right. Whereas this, I think, because you can make the patch work with the clone stamp tool, and as long as you don't move your playhead marker, you can take a screen grab of it and drop that straight into the composition and then just align it, just means that you end up with something that just really works. And of course, you're not really looking at the ground, you're looking at the shot, so it's not the end of the world. You know what I mean? As I say, if you were doing this on something like, or like grass or gravel or whatever, something that was less complicated, then you might just be able to use the content aware fill, and then it'll do it all for you, and then you've got no problems, But if you are working on a complicated flooring like this, then this is a technique that you can use to get that effect. Okay, so I hope that's been useful. So yeah, by all means now take the 360 cameras out yourselves, shoot some stuff, and I'll see how you get on. Looking forward to it.